The following video is brought to you by YouTube, where child exploitation is A-OK. One of the hardest things about doing these character discussion videos is that it's difficult to remain as objective as possible when I myself have my own biases. I can talk for hours about characters like Sonic and Amy because they're two of my favourite characters. And while I dislike very few Sonic characters, I clearly have my favourites. So when I say nobody understands blank, I'm part of that nobody. The point of these videos is not that I'm right and everyone else is wrong. I'm not a professional writer, and while I criticise or poke fun at the work of those writing the series, I really don't have anything against them as people. The goal of these videos is to analyse the characters as they've been presented and attempt to understand the definitive vision for those characters. It's why I refer to the Japanese side of the series so much, because that's the side of the series that's remained the most consistent and gives us a clear idea of who these characters are meant to be. The reason I bring this up is because today we'll be talking about Tails. Now, I like Tails fine, but I don't love him. Which is strange because I grew up with Sonic, and Tails was on some level designed to be relatable to kids like me. We all want to be like Sonic, but in reality we're more like Tails. But for whatever reason, he just never clicked with me. So how can I approach an analysis of a character I don't have a strong attachment to? Well, I think I've got an angle. Tails was designed to be Sonic's sidekick, his player 2, the Luigi to his Mario, the Robin to his Batman. The creator of Tails, Yasushi Yamaguchi, commonly referred to as Judy Toyota, apparently based Tails and Sonic's dynamic off of Gohan and Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z, which may come as surprising given the... Why do I keep saying giving? No, it's not how it's... You don't say that, you idiot! Okay. Which may come as surprising given the... I'm getting a new tongue. This tongue isn't working for me. I'm getting a new one. Which may come as surprising given the brotherly bond they're known for. Sonic was envisioned as quite a stoic character. Friendly in nature, but also enigmatic and aloof. He's a little hard to read. And Tails was designed to be a little kid who looked up to Sonic and wanted to be like him. And while he was very young, he also had aspects of his character that set him apart from just being Sonic's sidekick. He was a tinkerer with a knack for mechanics. He could fly with his tails. Yep. Just had to big the cat for a second there. You Ferrari! He was a bullied kid who fought hard to prove himself. Tails wasn't just Sonic's sidekick, and that's what made him interesting. So when the adventure games came around and gave him his own dedicated story arc, he got a lot more fleshed out. His journey in those games was about realising his own self-worth. He's not as fast as Sonic or as strong as Knuckles, but there are things that only he can do, and that's what makes him who he is. Sonic couldn't defuse a missile, but Tails can. But this is where the misconceptions start to creep in. See, the next mainline game after Sonic Adventure 2 was Sonic Heroes, a game with a much lighter tone that depicted Tails as much younger than in SA2. A lot of this is because of his English voice actor at the time sounding noticeably younger than the actor that preceded him. But a lot of Sonic fans see Tails' depiction in Heroes as a regression of his character that undid his development in previous entries, and this is where I disagree. Tails was always depicted as a little kid, and while he grew a lot in the adventure games, he was still a kid. I think Sonic fans want Tails to be like a mini John Wick who can take on anything that's thrown at him, when that was never the case. Even in Tails' bravest moments, he was still terrified. Even a game like SA2, which most Sonic fans would consider Tails at his peak, still had him get manipulated by Eggman, which led to Sonic being fired into space. He stepped up, but he's still flawed. Through most of the 2000s, he was pretty consistent. He was Sonic's best buddy who would help him out on his adventures. And while he wasn't always a playable character, he would usually make an appearance. So when did Tails get ruined? Probably Sonic Colors, right? Well, in my opinion, no, not really. Colors was absolutely a different take on the characters, but I think Tails is one of the better aspects of it. He's still standing on the sidelines, but he had a bit of a bite to him. He could be a little sassy. I don't know, I think it was fun. And while he wasn't a part of the action, he still contributes to the plot by inventing a translator for the Wisps. If you were to ask me where I think Tails started to go off course, I would say Lost World. He has the same sassy energy he had in Colors, but it feels a lot more mean-spirited. It comes across more as ego as opposed to joking around, and it's not helped by his weird outburst halfway through the game. He has this strange jealousy of Eggman that comes out of nowhere and doesn't make any sense. Why would Sonic trust Eggman more than Tails? Don't answer that, there is no reason, it's just stupid. But now we get to the big one. The moment everyone considers to be Tails at his worst. Sonic Forces. I think he's fine. He's not perfect, but I think the hate for him is really overblown. Forces is not a particularly well-written game, and a lot of its problems come from a poor English localization. That line about Tails losing it, that's a translation error. Sonic being tortured for 6 months, that's exclusive to the English script. But the biggest problem people have with Tails is how he reacts to chaos. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really get it. But Pixel, Tails fought Chaos 4 in Sonic Adventure! I mean, did he? He was there, but we don't know how much he contributed. Sonic Adventure is written in a really weird way, where the stories change depending on who you're playing as. Each story is told from that character's point of view. Take a look at these two scenes.
If it isn't Sonic!
Look, it's a giant talking egg.
Silence! I am Dr. Robotnik, the greatest scientific genius in the world!
Oh, well, if it isn't Sonic and Tails.
It's Eggman!
Silence! I am Dr. Robotnik, the most cunning scientific genius in the world!
Which one really happened? Well, probably Sonic's. In the case of Chaos 4, we can probably assume that Sonic, Knuckles and Tails fought them together, but again, we don't know. And in the context of forces, our heroes are at their most desperate. The world has been taken over, and as far as Tails is concerned, he watched Sonic die in front of him. So when one of the people who killed him attacks Tails, I don't think it's out of character for him to be afraid. Again, Tails has always been depicted as a little kid. I think he's allowed to have a moment of weakness. So now we get to my favourite Sonic game, Sonic Frontiers, yay! The goal of Frontiers was to course correct on how the main cast of characters are written, in an attempt to write them more consistently in the future. But because this is Sonic Frontiers, it does a terrible job and completely misses the point of why these characters work. Tails' arc in Frontiers is about him realising his self-worth and striving to be better, which we've already done. His story ends with him vowing to go out on his own and sharing a tender moment with Sonic. Now on paper this scene is actually pretty cute, but there's just one problem. It doesn't make any sense. You want to know why Tails fell off? Because he was treated like a sidekick and he was always more than that. That's his role in a meta sense, but that's not who he is. What people misunderstand about Tails is that he's not always at Sonic's side. In the 2010s he was relegated to the role of sidekick and was never seen as anything more. Tails acts like him going off to do his own thing is his big deal when it isn't. Tails has always been independent from Sonic. Why does Sonic care that Tails is leaving? These two barely see each other. Don't believe me? Well, let's go through every mainline Sonic game and see which ones start with Sonic and Tails together. Yes, we're really doing this. Strap in, here we go. Sonic 2, game starts with them together. Sonic 3, same thing. Sonic Adventure, game starts with Sonic on his own and he runs into Tails later on. Sonic Adventure 2, game starts with Sonic on his own and the only reason Tails knows he's been arrested is because he saw it on TV. Sonic Heroes, Sonic is running through a desert when Tails tracks him down. Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic's fighting aliens in Westopolis and Tails is flying around a casino. Sonic 06, Sonic's in Soliana alone and Tails only shows up after learning about what happened to Elise. Sonic Unleashed, Tails is working for Professor Pickle and didn't even know Sonic was fighting Eggman in space. Sonic Colors, they're together. Sonic Lost World, they're together. Sonic Forces, game starts with Sonic and Green Hill and he meets up with Tails in Sunset Heights. Sonic Frontiers, they're together. That's 12 games and only 5 of them start with them together. And that's only the mainline games. Remember when everyone used to say long time no see? That wasn't just a catchphrase, it was literal. The Sonic series is not a giant ongoing story, it's a collection of smaller stories that are completely disconnected from each other. Frontiers didn't fix anything, it invented a problem and pretended to solve it. Tails didn't grow from this experience. You regressed him and had him go through an arc he already went through to get him back to where he already was. This whole story is a giant waste of time. And not only that, you've turned him into Jimmy Neutron. He straight up tells Sage that the only reason he believes in Sonic is because of statistics. That's not Tails. Tails looks up to Sonic because he wants to be like him. It's not about what Sonic does, it's about who he is. It feels so hollow, so passionless. They're afraid to let Tails be a hopeful little kid. Like if he's not saying something smart every 5 seconds, then he's doing something wrong. Tails isn't a great character because he's smart, he's great because he's outmatched. He's not the bravest or the strongest or even the smartest, but he tries. That's the core of Tails. We've all felt like Tails before, especially when we were younger. Tails is here to teach us that no matter how hard things get, we can push through it. We can be brave, we can find the strength in ourselves, and that if we always try our best, there's no height we can't reach.